What's up guys, Jay's 2 cents here, and I'm talking to the new guy. I'm talking to the guy that's like, you know Jay, I hear you, you like building computers and all, but I'm just not comfortable with that. I want to buy a computer and I still don't understand all the parts and I don't know what to pick. Well, today's video is brought to you by NZXT, and they've kind of got a solution for you. They've got 3 new pre-built SKUs available through their BLD program. We're talking about the Starter, Starter Plus, and the Streamer. So we're going to talk about what you get with those particular SKUs, kind of do a little bit of gaming on each one, and then we'll tell you pretty much why these are some really good options to look at if you're looking at buying a pre-built computer.
You know what, guys? I got new merch. It's available now, crowdmade.com/Jay's2cents. We got zip-up hoodies, we got tri-blend, we got a new logo. I digress. Since 2012, it's a digress logo. You guys have been asking for that. Anyway, we got all kinds of stuff. Zip-up hoodies, beanies, polos. Don't take my word for it, because obviously I can't do this ad. So just look in the description below and you guys will find the link. Thanks.
Now obviously today's video is sponsored by NZXT, and I have a huge thank you to them sending me these computers for loan. Now we've got 2 models here of the 3 SKUs that are available. We've got the Starter, which is the entry price point, and then we've got the Streamer, which basically is aimed to do exactly that. Provide you a great gaming experience while also being able to live stream. Now the way they came up with these SKUs is basically they took a lot of the data that was coming into the BLD, which is where you could go in and kind of build your own system through picking parts and choosing games and checking FPS. In fact, you guys can head to the BLD website and start playing around with some of those configurations and see real-time FPS expectations on those builds by looking at the link down below. But what they did here was they basically took kind of that chunk of where a lot of the data says this is what people were buying. And then what they essentially did was come up with 3 SKUs based on kind of the majority of components that people were buying. So we've got the Starter unit right here, which is by no means a slouch or a basic PC. Because of the pricing changes that have happened in 2019, almost at 2015, we don't want to go backwards. We want to stay in 2019 because this is a great year for PC gaming. You've got some pretty awesome specs. So the CPU gets an AMD Ryzen 5 2600 6-core 3.4 gigahertz CPU with 12 threads. It's a great CPU. We talked about it in some of our budget guides, and it gets you usually more threads than anyone would possibly need. Now the cooler is the AMD Wraith Stealth cooler that comes with it, which is more than sufficient to cool this particular CPU. The GPU is a GTX 1660 MSI Gaming X, so it's not even like a basic 1660. It's definitely an overclockable card. It's got a great cooler on it, runs fast, it runs quiet, and it's all paired with an MSI B450 Tomahawk motherboard. Now the power supply is a Seasonic S12-2 500 watt bronze power supply, which is more than enough to power this system. For RAM, it's a Team T-Force Delta RGB 16 gigabytes, 2 8GB sticks running at 3000 megahertz. For storage, you get a Western Digital Blue M.2 SSD at 500 gigabyte capacity, and it is running Windows 10 Home with a 2-year warranty on all parts and labor. Now if the Starter package isn't enough for you, you want a little bit more, you can go to the Starter Plus, which upgrades 2 components. It takes the 1660 and turns it into a 1660 Ti, again from MSI, it's an overclockable card. And then it changes the storage to a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD from Intel, the 660p. Now for the streaming build, you pretty much only have 1 SKU. It upgrades to a 2700X 8-core 16-thread CPU from AMD. The cooler is the AMD Wraith Prism, which is an RGB cooler with a little bit extra cooling capacity. But the graphics card is upgraded to an RTX 2070 Super. Now it's got a 650 watt bronze power supply from Seasonic, the same motherboard with the B450 Tomahawk, and the same RAM with the T-Force Delta RGB 16 gigabytes, but it already comes preloaded with the 1 terabyte Intel 660p SSD, and then it has the same 2-year warranty on parts and labor. And obviously both of these systems come with the NZXT H500, which is a great case at the price point with plenty of airflow and plenty of aesthetics to go along with it too, with its matte black interior and plenty of cable management. Also too, not listed on the specs, is that both of these systems do feature both an Ethernet and wireless capability. So let's go ahead and fire up the Starter system here, get my Steam library on this, and let's see how the Starter system compares when it comes to 1080p gaming, because that's kind of the focus here. The Starter is about getting you 1080p medium to high settings. So let's go ahead and test it. So while Windows is kind of doing its setup here, we'll go ahead and take a look at the inside. We do get a tempered glass side panel that obviously comes with the H500. But you can see we've got 2 fans on the front, a single 120 exhaust in the rear, which is more than enough for the components here. It's all matte black interior, black cables come with the power supply, so there's no ketchup and mustard. We've got some sleeved cables for our graphics card. Nice metallic backplate on here. You can see our SSD sitting right there. Because this is the Starter, it's the Western Digital. That would be a 660p from Intel if this was the Plus. And then our wireless card is down here. Now the nice thing is it's not over the top when it comes to lighting. It's not super gaudy. The only lights in here are the motherboard, the actual RAM, and then the graphics card. So I thought that was kind of nice. But it's just got this nice, very minimalistic look, which actually looks pretty well put together. And the problem with a lot of like starter, no pun intended here, but like starter price points with some of the brands is it's just whatever the cheapest components they could source is. And obviously NZXT has really thought out how they want this PC to look and perform. So we got the side panel on, we got our Windows set up here. We're gonna go ahead and do all of our gaming and testing and temperatures and all that sort of stuff with the chassis all closed up to see how it does. All right, so here we are in a game. I'm not sure exactly which map this is. It's one of the newer maps in Battlefield 5. Our settings are set to overall high. So we're at DX12, no DXR, and then we've got high settings set to custom, including HBAO, which is kind of a big hit to the graphics card in terms of lighting and ambient occlusion. So we're gonna leave that all as it is, but as you can see right now, with a stock 1660, no overclock applied, we're running at 1950 megahertz, that's where it went to on its own, only 61C, and at least when I look at the ground here, look at all those FPS. But as we look out over a bigger draw distance, and I think a friendly just got killed. I should probably pay attention to what I'm doing, huh? You can kind of see that we have got, well, much higher than that 60 FPS, kind of a minimum that you want to aim for. Whoa, God, don't die. Oh, I'm being shot. We'll go backwards, that's fine. What we're looking for here is all this quick movement. We want to see what happens to the FPS, obviously, right? So if we're in one spot looking around, that's one thing, but this is obviously a higher demand on the graphics card like this. Was that like a battle cry? It's so playable though. I mean, 90s? Come on. Oh! All right, well, Battlefield 5 is clearly playable. So what should we try now? Okay, so we're doing a title now we haven't done in a long time. This is Project Cars 2. Racing Sim is one of those games that, in my opinion, needs a high FPS. Just because of the fact that there's so much fast movement, high FPS just makes it feel way more fluid. 60 FPS can definitely start to feel stuttery when it comes to racing sims. If you've not played a racing sim, that probably makes no sense to you. If you have, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. What I'm doing is I'm coming in here and just kind of putting everything right off the bat to high, except for motion blur, we'll leave that at low. I know most people turn it off. I think it feels more realistic to have motion blur on the sides. So we're just gonna kind of see how this does. Given how well it played Battlefield 5, I kind of expect this to do really well. So for our quick play here, we're just gonna do an LMP1 car in the Nürburgring with a keyboard. What could go wrong? Whoa, I shouldn't have corrected. Dude, look at this FPS, man, 159? Whoa, that little overturn. Woo. This is impossible with the keyboard, but not impossible for the PC to run. So I mean, I think we kind of proved here that, okay, starter PC capable of lots of FPS in Project Cars 2. Not an incredibly difficult title to run, but a pretty one at that. And it's a title I've had people ask me before, like, what do you need to run it? Well, as you can see right here, the starter PC is more than capable. So once again, a huge thank you to NZXT for sending over these computers for us to take a look at and make this video for you. You specifically, I'm talking to you. Do you? No, you? No, yeah, you. So there's just a couple of examples how you're getting way more than the magic 60 FPS number. I feel like as gamers, we're gonna have to lift that number to like 80 or 90 now to feel like we're even pushing our hardware, because even as you can see here with these starter, not the starter plus, we were exceeding 60 FPS in Battlefield 5 with high, and Project Cars 2, 150 FPS in Project Cars 2, that's insane. That shows that there's an amazing value now happening now, which is what's making 2019 probably the best year for PC gamers as long as I've been doing YouTube. I also think it's great that NZXT has put together 3 great price points that kind of hit the meat of the market where people are typically shopping. A good entry-level gaming experience, a slightly better gaming experience, and then a great gaming experience with streaming capability. Because if you can stream, whether you have an audience or not, it's fun. And it's one of those things that I think everyone's kind of aspiring to do these days, and just share gameplay content with their friends. That's kind of how I started. And the fact that they have 3 PCs targeted towards those 3 markets is a great thing. And because of the competition taking place with AMD CPUs, it goes to show that there's definitely not just a value here, but a performance benefit as well to not overspending your budget and just getting something that works. It has a 2-year warranty, it's got support, free parts and labor during that 2 years, which makes it a lot more comfortable for people who are just not ready to build their PC on their own. I know I advocate for BYO or build your own every single day. I teach people building computers is easy, but some people just want that added comfort and reliability of knowing that it's got a warranty and a support staff behind it. So if you guys want to check out these 3 SKUs and see what NZXT has to offer, I'll put a link in the description below, including the BLD, where I said you can go in there and configure your own PC based on price points and see the expected FPS in various games, or these particular SKUs as well, so you can kind of start poking around in there and seeing whether or not these systems are right for you. Once again, a huge thank you to NZXT for letting us borrow these systems to kind of do some testing with and bring this video to you. And as always, guys, we will see you in the next one. Kind of the best price point. And then he shifted again. And he realized it was too far. Let me make MSI Afterburner larger for you. Wow.
Can you make it a little bigger? I can't read the text on the screen.